Hi, this is New York State Senator Lee Zeldin. Thank you for joining our Tele-Town Hall tonight. If you have any questions during the call, just press *3, and we'll be able to get you on. I just want to start off with a little bit of background if you don't know me. Currently a major in the U.S. Army Reserves, New York State Senator representing the 3rd Senate District, raised in Brookhaven, where I went to school, and currently live with my wife, Diana, and our 2 daughters, Michaela and Ariana. Again, during this call, if you have any questions, just press *3, and we'll be able to bring you on. Thanks for joining our live Tele-Town Hall tonight. I'm running for Congress to be your next representative from the 1st Congressional District. My website is zeldinforcongress.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Lee M. Zeldin. That's M as in Michael. We're on Twitter, too. The name there is Lee Zeldin. And I've been serving the state senate, elected in 2010. I started to represent the 3rd Senate District in January of 2011. When I campaigned on particular promises. I said that if I was elected, I would fight as hard as I could to repeal the MTA payroll tax, to eliminate the saltwater fishing license fee, to secure funding for our veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. Every single thing that I campaigned on, I just obsessed with after I got in office to be able to deliver in. At the end of my first year, we were able to repeal the MTA payroll tax for 80% of employers on Long Island. Again, *3 for any questions. We eliminated the saltwater fishing license fee. We created the PFC Joseph Dwyer program for veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury. I wrote the bill to protect our military families from protests at military funerals. I've been opposed to the SAFE Act, introduced legislation to stop Common Core. I've stayed quite active up in Albany, and I'm looking to be your next representative in Congress. We're going to bring the first call on the line, John Seabrook. John?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, Senator Zeldin. I just want to see, I know you're very involved with disaster in your region. As everybody knows, we were hit by Hurricane Sandy. And what you would intend to do to move things forward into the area in order to make our areas more resilient.
Okay, actually, we lost a connection for a few words there in the middle of the question. Can you just repeat it one more time?
Sure. As a state senator, you have done a tremendous job in helping out with post-Sandy assistance. I want to see, as a congressman, what would you do on the federal level to move things forward to help our area to be more resilient?
Well, I'll tell you, right now the biggest hurdle has been the red tape down with the Army Corps, with the process at Fire Island to rebuild our barrier beaches. There have been delay after delay after delay. There was the Fire Island to Montauk Point plan, the FIMP plan, is something that there are tremendous amount of projects involved in that really just about none of them are underway because of delays with the federal government and the bureaucracy. And I think that you have a lot of challenges with the feds and various laws and rules, but the reality of the matter is, I live in Shirley. The village of Mastic Beach is right next to me. Just south of them, there's an area where there once were dunes. There are no dunes. This is one of the most vulnerable areas on all of Long Island. This dune replenishment project is something that was supposed to be done a long time ago, and it just keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed. So I think that's really the best place that I can help, is just cutting down red tape that is preventing our recovery efforts. So that's definitely a top priority. And I see what's going on in Nassau County. But by the first Memorial Day, Jones Beach, the roads were paved, the dunes were rebuilt in Staten Island and Queens and Brooklyn. All these projects were done right away, and yet we haven't seen any of this FIMP money, and that's something that would be a top priority. So, but I appreciate your call. And again, anyone who has any questions, just dial *3, and we would be able to bring you on. Our next caller is Patrick Fennessy. Patrick?
Yes.
Hi, what's your question?
I'm supporting 100% what you do for vets, because my brother was with the 82nd, and I've been with the 82nd with the 325th Red Falcons, and I support you 100%.
Well, I appreciate that, especially as someone who was with the White Falcons. I was with 2nd Battalion of 325th in Iraq. I appreciate your service. I think the Red Falcons, the 1st Battalion, actually while I was there, the battalion commander was Chris Gibson, who's actually now a congressman in upstate New York. 7 deployments. He's a great leader. But I appreciate you for your service, for being a paratrooper and being willing to protect and defend us. And I really appreciate your support and for calling in tonight. So, thank you, Patrick, for the call and for your family, for your service. Again, any questions tonight, just dial *3, and we'd be able to bring you on. There's, a lot of priorities that we have going into Washington. We want to repeal Obamacare, and we are seeing the premiums go up and the deductibles go up. Folks are losing their doctors. It's not being funded appropriately because we have young people who are not signing up. Businesses are cutting hours. They're passing on their costs of Obamacare down to to their employees. Just hearing a lot of stories. That's a big problem that we need to deal with. I certainly believe that we should have a strong national defense. I want to protect our military veterans. About 40 years ago, 3/4 of Congress were made up of military veterans. That number is now more like 1 in 5. Job creation, improving our business climate, reducing the regulations that are impacting job growth. We have a problem not only with unemployment but underemployment. I think a lot of people look at how much we make on Long Island on average, and they think that we're all rich. And the fact is the cost of living is so high that the energy costs, the gas prices, property taxes, it really all adds up. So we need not only more jobs but also more good paying jobs. I really I care about the fact that our national debt is so high right now. It just keeps getting higher and higher. We need elected officials in Washington. And again, anyone has any questions, just dial *3. We'll be able to bring you on. The 17 trillion. Well, when's enough? 18 trillion in national debt, 20, 25. We really are setting our next generation up for failure by not having representatives with the intestinal fortitude to make some tough decisions to move our country forward. Again, our website is zeldinforcongress.com. Any questions, dial *3. And we're bringing on our next question, Pam.
Good evening, Senator.
Hi, Pam. What's your question tonight?
Yes, my question is, do you have any plans to help revitalize business here on Long Island? I am a business owner, and I sit in countless business meetings, and the joke around Long Island is, well, we're all nonprofits now. We're having a difficult time. It's really hard. And everybody's working 5 times harder than they ever worked before, and we still can't seem to make it. It's really very disturbing, and it seems that everything in the Obama administration is geared toward hurting the business owner, including if you're a single proprietor now, you can't get health insurance through your business. You have to get it individually. So everything seems to be geared against the business owners, We were hoping that you had a possible solution or some thoughts that you could share with us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your question tonight, Pam. This is something I've been focused on since I first ran for the state senate in 2010. Before I got into office in the state senate, I had a small business. I had to meet payroll, experience signing not only the back of checks but the front of checks as well. And the challenges are really there. So I think that there's really two parts to this. One is on the policy front, and I think the other is with regards to culture. So we need to improve our business climate. On the policy front, that's why I led the fight to repeal the MTA payroll tax when I first got into office. We were able to repeal it for 34,000 employers just in Suffolk County alone. And it was a campaign process when I first ran, and I worked hard on being able to deliver on it. And, for folks who may not have experience meeting payroll, 34 cents on every $100 may not seem like a lot of money. But the fact is, it really does add up quite quickly, and it's the last straw for a lot of people. So, I'm giving you an example on the policy front. Down in Washington, we have Obamacare is a great example of a recent new law that is hurting businesses. I'm running for Congress. Yes, I'm in the state senate right now, and that's where we fought the MTA payroll tax, but it's down in Washington where we can fight to repeal Obamacare. Small businesses are seeing the impacts of having a higher cost to provide services and actually penalties associated with not complying. Individuals are seeing penalties, and employers are as well. So I think repealing Obamacare is one example. I've spoken to a lot of employers and employees that were very happy with the coverage that they had, the cost, the network, but they're upset now. Again, I'm reminding everyone, just press *3 if you have any questions, and we'll be able to bring you on. Now, on the culture front, I'll give you one example. There's a distributor, Harry Levinson Associates in Farmingdale, and they had, like, the state of Kentucky, for example, offered them this great package to bring their business down to Kentucky and offered them land and a building and tax relief. They were going to rename the town after them. Pennsylvania offered Harry Levinson Associates a nice package as well. And the owner, when I first met him, was complaining to me. He said, I can't even get a return phone call from Albany. So I think part of it is the culture, too. We have governors of other states personally contacting CEOs on Long Island, luring their businesses off of Long Island. And here in New York, people are complaining they can't get a return phone call from their own government. So, the culture in Washington as well. We need to understand the plight of our business owners. We need to support our business owners. A lot of people have the courage to start a business, but unfortunately they're failing. We need to cut a lot of red tape that we see with different state and federal agencies. So that's why I've been proud to serve in the New York State Senate, and I would be honored to be your next congressman. We're going to bring Jeanette on as our next caller. Jeanette. Jeanette.
My concern are the taxes here on Long Island. I'm a senior. I have a mom who lives with me. I still work full time. I also help my children with their 4 children. So it's very difficult here on Long Island. What is your plan to help us here on Long Island and to keep our young people who are leaving for other states to keep them here on Long Island? Do you have a plan for that?
Well, yeah, so, yes. I mean, the fact is that young families can't afford to start their families here. Our seniors who have spent their whole lives on Long Island can't afford to stay, and they're going down to North Carolina and South Carolina and Florida. And it's sad. I mean, I've seen it personally with my own family. So much of my family is left, and some live in South Carolina. Many live down in Florida, and they left. It was just a high cost of living here. Property taxes is killing seniors, for example, on fixed incomes, struggling to make ends meet as it is. And so when I got into office, I co-sponsored the property tax cap because in my home district we saw approximately 25% property tax increase in 3 years. And, it's important to support our local school districts. We need to provide a quality education in New York school children. The fact is the property tax increases were unsustainable. And we have seniors who, are paying the same in property taxes as, that 30 plus or 40 plus year old, those parents generating 1 to 2 plus incomes, and it's a little bit easier for them to pay what amounts to be the same exact property tax bill. I mean, I've co-sponsored bills up in Albany to help our seniors. We have various laws, including new laws to protect our military veterans, including our seniors, so that they can have the tax relief to be able to afford to stay. One of the things that inspired me to run for the state Senate was back in 2009, the star rebate checks were eliminated, which on average was about $732 per house, which would come in October, right around the time you need to fill an oil tank. So I think for our seniors, you have to look at the federal level all the different ways that the cost of living adds up. And there are so many different challenges associated with that. There are ways that we can reduce our energy costs. Definitely need to cut through a ton of red tape in order to be able to deliver low-cost energy to Long Island households. As far as gas prices go, there's so much within the market that ends up increasing cost and prices, and that ends up Food prices continue to go up. I'm definitely deeply concerned about the threat of inflation, not only to what they'll do with the national debt, but also the cost of a gallon of milk. Prescription costs continue to go up, and they're continuing to go up now. And that's another example where a senior is deciding whether or not to put oil in their tank or to get prescription meds. And that's just one particular scenario that is frightening to me. I mean, we need more affordable housing. Some people can't afford to own a home on Long Island. We need more affordable places for people to rent. And again, that's another product of cutting down on red tape and controlling property taxes. Now, again, if anyone has any questions, please dial *3. So starting tomorrow, the petition process begins in order to get us on the ballot in November. So people may be coming to your home. If you're willing to sign to get us on the ballot, I would greatly appreciate it. But that starts tomorrow. And if you're interested in getting involved, if you can volunteer, if you could press 1, we would love to be in contact with you and to get you involved in the campaign. Again, in order to volunteer with our efforts, just dial 1, and we'll be able to bring you on. The next caller is Desiree. And then again, any questions, just dial *3 and be able to bring you on. Desiree, what's your question?
Yes, Mr. Zeldin. I'd like to know, what are you going to do if you run for Congress? How are you going to cross party lines? Because I'm tired of things not getting done in a bipartisan way.
Well, I actually love your question. I mean, I'm someone who personally believes, now I'm a conservative Republican, but I believe that you can be liberal, moderate, conservative, and when you share power, there's no way to get anything done if anyone insists on getting it 100% their way. I believe in effective conservatism, where you can be true to your principles and values and be able to pass budgets and not kick the can down the road and make some tough decisions to move our nation forward. In Albany, we have a Democratic governor, a Democratic-controlled assembly. Republicans and Democrats share power in the state Senate. We've had 3 consecutive on-time balanced state budgets. There is no way to accomplish that if the Republicans and the Democrats all insist on getting 100% of what they want. So, listen, Charlie Rangel is a Democrat congressman in New York City. I think Charlie Rangel needs to go. Now, Charlie Rangel is not going to get replaced. It's very, very unlikely he's going to get replaced by a Republican in that district. But let's replace Charlie Rangel with a Democrat who may be able to sit down at a table and talk to a Republican like me and be willing to talk about where we can agree on things in order to move our nation forward. But we need to cut through the gridlock. DC is dysfunctional. The fiscal insanity is crazy down there, and it's one of the main reasons why I decided to run. But I really appreciate your question. And again, anyone who has any questions, just dial *3, and we'd be able to bring you on. The next caller, and if anyone's willing to volunteer, just press 1 if you're willing to sign up. Next call is Joe. Joe, what's your question? Do we have you, Joe? All right. Well, again, if anyone has any questions, we'll be able to bring you on. Just dial *3. I just want to touch on foreign policy very briefly. I've been, following what's going on in Russia and Iran. Very critical of the Iran deal. I don't believe it really is much of a deal. The Obama administration announced this deal where Iran was going to suspend uranium enrichment, pursuing nuclear capability, and the Iranian leadership immediately refuted those terms. They continue to pursue uranium enrichment. They continue to pursue construction of ARIC, and they made a calculated decision to make $10, $15, $20 billion with the economic sanction relief. Our enemies abroad, they do not respect weakness. They respect strength. I remember during the presidential debates it was October of 2012, and the president was mocking Governor Romney when Governor Romney was talking about how Russia was our largest geopolitical threat in the entire country, in the entire world. And the president was mocking him and saying, the 1980s called, they want their foreign policy back, and now look what's going on. So, we need to be strong with our foreign policy. We cannot be weak. That's one of the other reasons why I opposed last week's announcement to cut our military troop strength to the lowest level in 74 years, pre-World War II levels. It's a dangerous risk. Our next enemy abroad that we need to fight may not be a terrorist cell where we can use special operations. It may be ground forces. So, we need to have the strength. It's definitely a strong deterrent. Our military, which has been overstrengthened through 13 straight years of combat, needs the tools, resources to recharge, and this isn't the way to do it. All right, we're going to try to bring Joe on now. Joe,
Senator Zeldin?
Yes.
Yes. First of all, thank you for your service.
Oh, thanks. It's an honor to serve.
And let me also add, I would like to see you beat Tim Bishop. So I have a two-part question. One, how are you going to beat him? And second of all, as far as Obamacare, I happen to be in the industry, and what's happening to doctors out there is, I'm not a doctor, but I'm a pharmaceutical rep, and they are dropping like flies. The private practice is slowly but surely going away. We're getting into these hospital-owned practices where, the motivation for these doctors to care for patients is still there, but not at the same level. So my second part of the question is, I don't think it's possible to repeal Obamacare until Obama is gone. So what can we do to change it, at least, until we get rid of him?
Well, thank you for your question and for your support. I love grassroots retail politics. Calling all of you who are on this call, being able to call you on a Monday evening and just talk one-on-one and answer your questions. Some people, when they do these calls, all the questions are planted. I'm actually getting questions from people who, I've never met before, and you're asking me whatever's on your mind, and I love that. The best way to ask for someone's vote is to show up in person, to ask them one-on-one, and that's, one of the reasons why I have you on this call is for me to hear from you, to answer your questions, but also to ask for your vote and to earn your vote. That's why I knocked on 12,000 doors when I first ran. I'm a hard worker. My wife and my daughters, unfortunately, would have to vouch for that because, there are nights where I'm unable to tuck them in, and it tears all four of us apart, but it's a shared sacrifice for something that we all believe in. As far as your question on Obamacare, the president has been refusing to accept any of the changes that the House Republicans are putting forward. And right now he has a certain amount of leverage because the Senate is controlled by the Democrats. So the House Republicans pass a bill, and the president whispers into Harry Reid's ear, and Harry Reid says this bill will be dead on arrival in the Senate. And the mainstream media ends up, throwing cold water on any of the Republican solutions, saying, this is just for show, it can't go anywhere in the Senate. And it's unfortunate because there are a lot of different solutions that have been put forth. I mean, some people who are in favor of Obamacare says, yeah, but the Republicans don't have any solutions. Well, if you did your homework, you realize that there were several different Republican bills on how to replace Obamacare. And just recently, 3 Republican U.S. senators just put forth a bill in the U.S. Senate on how to move our nation's health care forward. I think we would all be in agreement. We need to have affordable, accessible health care. But Obamacare is just not the answer, and there are so many solutions that are out there. I mean, to foster more competition in the private marketplace. The website rollout was deeply flawed, and the president, he sees it. He has unilaterally, through executive order, well over a couple of dozen times, has changed Obamacare, even though he refuses to accept any of the changes put forth by the House. There are certain things in Obamacare that keep for a 25-year-old or a 26-year-old being able to stay on their parents' policy, or to be able to obtain insurance coverage if you have pre-existing conditions. The intent of many parts may have been great, but Obamacare is just not the answer. And I appreciate your question, and I really would suggest anyone who is claiming that Republicans don't have any solutions, I would strongly encourage you at taking a look at any of the bills that are being put forth in Washington. So the next caller is Pat.
Hi, Lee. This is Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Hi, Lee. I was talking with you last week in Amagansett at the American Legion.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks for going to that the event out there. I appreciate it. It was a pretty good crowd. It looked like we had 40, 50, 60 people there. It was pretty cool.
I think we figured it out with 75 or so.
So you know what? I always like to aim low with my estimates, and you know what? But 75, I believe it. That was a pretty strong crowd.
Yeah, it was great to see you. And again, thank you for your service. When you were speaking the other day, of course, this Demos question always comes up about him, saying how you voted for Obamacare. You did give a long, really good explanation regarding budget and what. I'm wondering if you can come up with a short and sweet 3 or 4 sentence thing, because the reason it's so funny that I got this call now to go on. Do you know that 2 minutes before I got your call, I got one from George Demos to be on his thing, and guess what he was talking about? You and how the state senator even voted for it, and I hung up, and then the phone rang with you.
Yeah, that's funny. I would. So here's the one sentence version. Is that I have never and will never support Obamacare. I have never supported it. So there's the 1 second version of it. I will tell you that, a couple of points to add in. Some people say, well, they say that the New York State legislature funded Obamacare. That is 100% untrue. The attacks that are against us are completely dishonest. They put words in my mouth. They create documents that they make it seem like they're official documents, and they're not. They are fictitious documents that are created in those mail pieces. It's just